Hey guys, today I'm going to be teaching you how to do Beginners F2L. So for F2L, there's only a couple of things that you really need to know, but you need to wrap your mind around them pretty well. So the first thing is, if you're used to doing the beginner's method, usually you would see your corner, you would use your corner insertion algorithm, then you would see your edge, and then you insert it using an algorithm. But that's very inefficient and it actually slows down your time a lot. So today I'm going to be teaching you how to do F2L, which will greatly increase or decrease your times and increase how fast you can solve a cube. So the first thing is, you need to know how to notice pairs and break apart pairs. So a pair would be like this. This is a pair. And if they're not in the correct orientation, which they are now, so if you were to do like a normal insertion or whatever, if you were to do the corner and then the edge, it would look like this. And if you take them out in both, then they're together. But if you do the corner insertion now, then you have them separated and flipped. Anyways, with this, you have to realize that the pairs are the corner that needs to go in this spot, so the green, red, and yellow go here, and the red and yellow. The corner and the edge are both pairs together. And if you see them and they're together like this, and they're already put together, that's great. And you can just go ahead and insert them where they need to go. But if they are put in a bad position, say like this, then you need to know how to break them up. So that's the first thing I'm going to be teaching you. So to separate these, usually you would see your corner and you would just go ahead and insert it. But instead of doing that, you can take these, and you need to know which slot is the color that it needs to go in. So if you're used to knowing that green, red, and yellow needs to go here, and you notice that this is the green, red, and yellow, and this is also the red and yellow edge, then you know that you need to break these up so you can insert them like F2L. And the easiest way that I found to do that is take the place where it needs to go and put the corner to where it lines up, but the edge does not. So to where the corner lines up and the slot where it needs to go is in the back, but the edge does not line up with it. So it wouldn't be ideal to line them up like this, where it's in the back, because then you wouldn't really be able to split it up well without messing up this pair. So the best thing to do is to move it away where the edge is lined up with the back where it needs to go in, and the edge does not. So if you move it freely, then the edge that goes with it doesn't come with. So the next part is you need to know how to separate them. So to separate these, all you need to do is know that you have an empty slot in the back, whether it be where it needs to go or not, as long as it's an empty slot that doesn't have a already put together pair. Then you can take the piece, bring it down to where it brings up this empty slot here. So you're pretty much taking this corner, hiding it, and bringing up this slot with the useless pieces. And then you're moving the edge out of the way to where you can later line it up. And sometimes you have to move it once, sometimes you have to move it twice, but you'll never have to move it 3 times, because then it will just put it in the way of where it was. So you would pull this down, it would hide the corner, it would bring up this slot with nothing in it, and then you could move the edge away, and then once you've moved the edge away, then you've broken them up. And you'll know if you break it up right or if you need to break it up one more time after you know the 3 different things that you can run into with corners and edges in F2L, which is what I'll be getting into next. And if this comes up in a different spot, so say we have this, say these come up, then see you have this open slot, even though it's not the correct colors, but we now have this open slot. So we can move it, and as you can see, that didn't line it up right because now the green lines up with it. But if we do it one more time and we move the corner to the edge, it lines them up in the pair. So that's like what you would need to do. So sometimes you have to bring it down this way, sometimes you have to bring it up that way, depending on where your corner is. So we'll get into the next part, which is actually the 3 different types of pairings that you can do. So I've gone ahead and set up the first type of pairing that you can do. So this is where the pieces that we're pairing are the green, yellow, and orange corner into the green, yellow, and orange slot with the yellow and orange edge. So for this, we'll just simply take this and see how this color is right here. Whenever we move it up, it comes up on top. So whatever color's on top will go to the back. And that's important to realize because if they're opposite like this, so if these are the 2 adjacent colors, then you can do it like this. So if this is where the slot is, it's in the front and the corner lines up with it and the edge is back here, then you can move this towards it, the corner towards it, it'll line them up in a pair, and then you can take these pairs and then you can just line them up with the color that's right here. So pretty much all you're doing for this is if it's right here and the edge lines up with it here, you're just doing a right, a U to line it up, and then an R prime to bring it all back in. And then you've inserted your 2 different things. And I'm going to show you this from a different angle. So this is if it was set up from a left side. So you have it here where it's not going to work on the right. And if you were to try and split it up a little more and do it on the right, the green would just line up. Sometimes you have to play with it and get it to where it'll line up on the left. And once you have it lined up on the left, you can then do the same thing just with L moves. So you can do an L prime, that'll line it up, put it there, and since this is the slot where it needed to go, do a U prime, that'll line this up, and then L. And I'll bring it back in, and I'll put the pair in. Just like that. So, once again, take this, and we'll line up this edge, put it in here. So make the bar back here. You just bring it in and line it up, and bring it down. Then you've just inserted your corner and edge at the same time without really long algorithms. It just takes a little more knowledge to put into it. So, let's get on to the next one. So here's the next way that an F2L can be set up that I've set up here, and as you can see, it may look kind of similar, this right here and then the edge in the back, but as you can see, since these colors are the same and the adjacents on the opposite sides, whenever you move it forwards, it just kind of crisscrosses them. So that won't work. So if you try and insert it, then you get this case where it's flipped. Really annoying. So instead, what you'll have to do for this one is you'll have to, whenever you move it out of the way, you want to move it to where the adjacent colors are opposite from each other. So if this is the red color, that's the adjacent from yellow, then you want to put that at the back. Or if it's the yellow adjacent from red, then you want to put that at the back. And instead of holding it right above the slot where it needs to go, you want to hold the slot in the back. So this is the slot where it needs to go, and since these pieces are out here that need to go in here, then we know that there's not going to be anything in here that we're going to mess up. So the best thing to do here is to bring it down, so hide the edge, kind of like whenever we were splitting them up, but this time we're just joining them back together, and this will bring up these edges and corner that have nothing to do, and then we can take this edge, we can move it all the way over here, and so now, as you can see, if you were to look at it from this angle, these are the adjacent colors that are here, and then the other ones are here. So when we move it back up, it'll bring these here, and now we have our block made. So, another recap, if we have it here, it needs to go into this slot. We know that we can't do this, so what we need to do is we need to bring it over here, and since these colors are the same on top, bring this down, bring up these empty slots, bring the edge over to it, and then that kind of lines it up sideways on the front face, and that'll bring the bars together. Then, if you want, you can just follow this, and then you can just insert it. And if you need to know the insertion algorithm, which is pretty easy, if you were inserting it from this side into here, so if you need to take these edge and corners and put them into here, you would do left prime U L, or left prime U L, and that'll insert it. And if you're doing it from the right, you do R U prime R prime, and that'll put that in there. So if you just follow these, you're bringing up the slot where it needs to go, you're putting it in, and then you're bringing it down. And that just so happens to solve the cube because that's the way I set it up. And now I'm going to show you the last step to what you need to do for the third step that you can run into with F2L. So here we have the third case set up, and it looks a little bit different than the others because your cross color, mine is green because that's what I use, is on top, and your edge is here in the back, and it's set up again above the slot like the others, but whenever you try and move it, it doesn't work, and it looks like you need to break them up. Well, that's kind of what we need to do, but if green's on top, this is actually a pretty easy case. It just takes a little more thinking. But it's also good because whenever you're breaking the pieces up that you need to do for F2L, there's not really much places you need to have this. It can be here or here, as long as it's not right next to it. So, say that you wanted to take this and you wanted to move it. So you wanted to take this, maybe you want to move it to that place. This will still work. And as long, if it's in that place, it'll still work back here. And the way to do this is to take it, and just like in beginner's method, if you were to line it up with the adjacent color, and like you would be inserting it here, instead, since green's up here, you will you'll turn this face, and since it's always going to be that the pieces that are here are what you're working with here, so you know that this back here, even if it does or doesn't have anything in it, it doesn't really matter, but as long as there's nothing in here, because this is where you're needing to put it. So you're going to line it up with the color right here like you would be inserting it normally, like in beginner's method, and instead you're going to take this color on top and you're going to turn it towards the opposite, so back here towards orange. And pretty much all that's going to do is going to open up this slot so we can move freely. And that's going to allow us to set up the pieces to where they'll join together. And it won't work if we bring it towards here, because then we're messing up this back here. So the best thing to do is to make sure that this slot is open, make sure that you have this lined up, bring it to the opposite back here, and then you're going to turn this as many times as it needs to line up with the piece over here. So whenever I was talking about you can set it up any way, if you had it set up here and you move it back, you'd only need to move it once. Then you would line them up. But if you were to take it and have it set up with this way to where it's two away, then you would move it back to the opposite, move the top twice, and then move it up, and then they would be joined together. Then you would just use the insertion now, right, U prime, R prime, and insert it. And those are the three cases that you can run into with F2L. I hope this helped you. I'll probably be doing a series on one look OLL. I don't think I'm going to go too deep into OLL and PLL because I don't know all of them, so I'm not really able to talk about them because I don't know them myself. So, I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, leave a thumbs up. go ahead and comment, and I am still waiting for some challenges, so go ahead and leave some challenges down there, and if not, I might just do my own challenges. I hope this helped you. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments, or you can DM me on Twitter or Facebook, and I will be glad to help you out. But that's pretty much all you need to know for F2L. And yeah, I hope that helped out everyone. And I was meaning to do this series a while back, but I've kind of been pushing it off because I didn't know if anyone was actually wanting to learn more advanced stuff from my channel. But someone on Twitter, PJCuber091, he contacted me and asked me to do this. So shout out to him. I'll leave his Twitter in the description. Really cool kid. He's learning. He's getting faster. He just got himself in L1 V2, so that's good for him. Hope his times get faster and he does better. And yeah, if y'all like this video, go ahead and subscribe. Alright, thank you guys for watching. Have a nice day. Bye.